has been a hot minute. As usual, excuse me, a little coffee is not going to hurt anybody, right? It has been a hot minute since I have made a video, brought some content, almost a month. Didn't realize that, but it's time to come back and give you something fun. And we're going to do something a little different today. We're going to finally, full-fledged, delve into why the Sega CD is so important to me. Sega CD was released much earlier in Japan and eventually brought over to the US. I believe, if history is being kind to me in my memory and I'm not having one of those effects, I think it came in the 90s. I'm pretty confident it did. This isn't a factual thing and me reading off a script or a teleprompter or anything. I'm just going off of what I remember. So I believe that it came out as the Model 1 first. I never had the opportunity to play one. I've seen it, and I've also seen a box for it. And I've got to tell you something. The box is amazing. And we can't go any further without introducing you to who I am. I mean, that would probably be the best bet, right? This is Jace House of Fun and Video Games, bringing you today, like we said, time to talk about the Sega CD. I talk about it an awful lot on this channel. Let's get back to the conversation now that I completely forgot to say that before, and that's okay because, listen, if you know anything about this channel, following the beaten path is just not my style. The Sega CD, at some point in time, late 80s, early 90s, I think it was 91, I'm pretty confident. I could have done some research, but, you know, I wanted to do something different and try to just give you my initial thoughts and my memory of it, right? Because Sega CD has an important place to me. And why is that? Well, we're going to get into it. So the Sega CD Model 1 came out, like I was saying. It looks amazing. The box looked amazing. I don't have any real memories of the Model 1. I just don't. I have no idea. I may have seen it. I vaguely remember the box, but when I saw it in real life, I was like, holy crap, I really want this. And then seeing the price tag of said box, because it is a very unique and rare item. It's not the best version of the Sega CD. It can be very faulty. You had to put these little pins inside of the actual Sega CD for it to connect, because it doesn't do the, how do I articulate this correctly? So this Model 2 is the one that I'm very familiar with, and that's the one that I got many, many years ago. It slides in, and maybe I'll be able to showcase that so I can better articulate what I'm saying. The Model 1 will go on the top. Pretty simple. Things that I remember about, hearing about it at least, and just off of general memory, is that the belts weren't the best because it was a drive that came in and out, as opposed to the Model 2 and later models where you would just pop off the thing like a CD player, the cover, and pop the CD in, done. There's no belts, there's no anything, there's just a laser, and hopefully it works. You'll see that a lot with laser displays as well. The belts kind of get worn out after long times of use and everything like that. And if there's anything that I could tell you about the Sega CD from my experience, the thing that grabbed me as a young person, and I want to say it was 93, when I first saw it, and it blew me away, and it was that commercial. We all know, and anybody who is a game enthusiast has done any kind of looking into research, whatever you want to call it, into what the 90s brought for gaming, other than just the games themselves, were the commercials. They were out of control. I do vaguely remember in 93 when I saw this commercial. And if I could find a way to put it on here, I will. I don't know what it will do, what it will not do, and I think you know what I mean by that, but I know many people have used it in their videos, so maybe I could do it too. This commercial blew me away. I had not seen anything like this before. Remember, in this time period, and we're talking about 1993, I was about 9 years old, I think, when I saw it. It had to have been, because when I got the actual Sega CD Model 2, it would be the following year on my birthday in January of 94. I was blown away by this. I've never seen and never thought it to be possible for a disc to go onto a system and play a game. It's just not something that was very common. I know there was the Turbo Graphics at one point in time. I know that the PC Engine was there. I know eventually, the Saturn, the Jaguar, and all these other things, the PlayStation, of course, and so on and so on. But at that point in time, it just registered to me, and I remember the feeling when I was looking at the commercial being blown away. It's got all these 64 megabits and all this other crazy things and all these colors, and the commercials then just hit you differently. Whether they were all accurate or not is up for interpretation. Sometimes facts can certainly hinder at those exaggerated things in a commercial. It's just the way it is. Commercial is there to introduce you, in my opinion. And they've got to do what they got to do to suck you in, right? I mean, what are you going to do? Is it right? Is it wrong? I don't know. But when I saw that commercial, holy crap. I was blown away. And I would, obviously, I was in school, I was in elementary school at the time. I want to say it was in elementary school, right? Yeah, I was in elementary school. Takes a minute. I'm kind of up there, so it takes you a few minutes to really think about all the time that's passed and the amazing journey that I've been fortunate enough to have. Ups and downs, lefts and rights, backwards, forwards, everything in between. But what a time it was to grow up in the 90s. And I'm not going to try to get too lost in that nostalgia, although what we're talking about today is nostalgia induced, isn't it? Or maybe I just generally love the system. I guess we're going to figure that out. I remember seeing it, and I don't know whether it was a Walmart, a Kmart, a KB Toys. It could have been a KB Toys, now that I'm thinking about it. And I don't think I saw the original Model 1. I've never seen that until I was in adult life, and I was like, holy crap, like I said, and the price tag is just a little much. Maybe at some point, but we'll get there. I remember seeing it and just being blown away by it. As I look over here at the box, this was the box that I saw. This isn't the actual box that I have, but it's the box I saw, the cover, the Sewer Shark. Next level CD entertainment machine. Plays Sega CD games and audio CDs with digital quality video and sound. Comes with Sewer Shark, the rocket powered real video game action masterpiece. I don't know if all that is going to resonate with the truth. Sewer Shark is not really my favorite game to play, but it's a challenging one. And I remember playing it like crazy when I first got the system. And then, of course, I think the next game that I would have played would probably be Sonic CD. So going back to it, I'd seen it in stores. I'd obviously asked, my parents for it, whether it was my grandmother or my mom, I don't remember. Pretty sure it was probably my grandmother. We'd go out and go to different stores, this, that, or the other thing. I'm an only child, so, I didn't really have to compete with any siblings. Which could be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you look at things. That's how I am, and it's how I grew up. Sega CD wasn't something that was normally found in a lot of people's homes where I was. Just wasn't. I maybe knew one other person that had one, and it was much later. It was probably during like some sort of deal or bargain. I don't even know if that was the case back then. Again, it's just, some of that stuff's really hazy. But I do remember, after seeing that and asking for it, and I didn't ask like a crazy person or ask consistently or harass or anything like that. I just simply said, I'd really like to have that someday. Something around those lines, and I'm sure it was mixed in with some more kid language, I guess it would be. And I don't even know what I would have said because, again, that's so long ago. But eventually my birthday would come up. January 13th, 1994. I've taken a lot of time to think about this. I know I have a picture of it. I just don't remember where the picture is. I wanted to go through my garage pretty recently because I've been actually taking an extra day off of work at least once a week for the next month. So I have 4-day work weeks, which is awesome. Back to the task at hand. So let's take you to January 13th, 1994, not 84. That's when I was born. 1994. I remember this day like it was yesterday. My grandmother and her mother and her siblings at one point in time would have had a very nice, they call it a triple decker. Is it a triple decker or a double decker? I think it was a double decker. Had a double decker. Say that 50 times fast, you're going to sound like you're saying something else. In South Boston. Beautiful place. I remember how many amazing times I had there, and a lot of times that I vaguely remember because I spent a lot of time with my family up there. I lived out there for a number of years, and it was beautiful. It really was. But that was the day we had a big party for me, bunch of cousins, bunch of relatives. Our family's very large. And I remember, when it came to birthdays or certain holidays, whether it be Christmas, whether it be Thanksgiving, St. Patrick's Day, that's a given if you know anything about that part of the world. It was always a big celebration. All the family got together, especially when I was much younger. So on my birthday, lots of gifts. I remember all the different things I got. I just can't articulate them or describe them to you. Got a ton of stuff, everybody's having a good time, socializing. It's my 10th birthday. I'm the first great-grandson. A lot of pressure on that, by the way. There's a lot to live up to with that. And hopefully I continue to do that every day. Then comes this big, giant box. I looked at it. And I can't remember what I said, but I think I remember potentially what I was thinking. Did I have the turtle playset at that point? I think I did. Did I have the Technodrome at that point? I believe I did. There was something else that was about the same size, or at least in my eyes it would have been. I thought it could have been a few different things, and I was more geared towards something like that, like a sewer play set from the Turtles, or I had the Ghostbusters Firehouse. I can't remember at that point. I was into a lot of toys. I had a ton of toys when I was a kid. That's what's great about being an only child. I did not expect what I got. So my mind, at the time, you got to remember you're young. There's a lot going on. I opened this package, and holy shit, I saw it in its glory. I see it right here. It takes me back. Now, is this the same box? I think I made that very clear earlier. If I didn't, this is not the same box. I'm pretty sure, like my NES, my Sega, and the Sega CD before that, probably the Game Gear, whatever else I've had a bunch of different systems over the years. I think it ended up in the garbage with the wrap. Oh, ain't that a bitch? It is. I wish I knew now what I knew then, because those things were so important, whether it's the NES cartridges, the boxes that came with them. I hate to say it, but we all probably just throw them out. I think a lot of us can say it, and it's okay now. Life has passed. Life moves on. But if I knew what I knew now, if you think this room's crazy, you'd imagine I'd need 50 rooms, because I wouldn't throw out anything. Everything's got a reason, nostalgia, blah, 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 blah. But when I opened that box, and that glowing Sega CD with the blue and the sewer shark and all of that, and I saw the CD player, wow, was I blown away. I finally got the Sega CD. From seeing it in the stores to seeing that commercial, I was dead set on getting it. If it was okay to get. If it was something that we could get. We're not all millionaires in this world. And I don't know how they did it. It is not any easier. It's not any worse than it was before. But as an adult, life is challenging. And I hope that I even hold a candle to what my parents were able to do for me. But I see the Sega CD. I'm blown away by it. Obviously, being a young person, I want to be able to go home and play it right away. That's just the way it is, right? And obviously I didn't, but I'm sitting there, I'm thinking about it. I remember the picture. I just really wish I could find the damn picture because I think it would articulate my happiness. I don't know if I'll ever feel that way as an adult. I will feel similar to different things, like if my kids do something or, success for them. I don't know if I'll ever capture that in a bottle again. That moment was just something different and something fierce. As soon as we left and got home, I don't think it was late enough. I'm pretty sure, and I could check on my calendar. It's great about these phones. You could see what day this happened to land on. I don't think it was my actual birthday. I think it was like the weekend of, so I want to say it was probably like Saturday or Sunday, I want to say it was. We celebrated it. And man, I couldn't wait to hook this thing up. I don't think that it took me too long to figure out how to do it. Instructions are super important. Always read them. That's a very good tip. Did this guy still? Or did back then? No, probably not. I don't think I did. And unfortunately that would lead to my 32X not working. Completely different story for another day. But pretty sure I had a working 32X that just got donated. I didn't think it worked. Craziness, man. But anyway, I got it home. I tried to figure out how it all worked. And again, I'll try to show you the articulation of what I'm saying. Hopefully I can include that in this video, because I don't want to just be focusing on me yapping about whatever. I want to show you guys. I want you to feel, guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen of the viewing audience, I want you to feel how excited I was. I popped it in. I finally got it put together. I think I had a little bit of trouble trying to figure out where I was going to put the second. I want to say it was the second Sega AC adapter. The thing with this system, with the Model 2 in specific, I think it would be for the Model 1 as well, and the Model 3 only has one, and we'll go over that as well. I got that much later in life. Didn't even know it was a thing, because I had the Sega CD, I was set, I was good. I think I had difficulty trying to figure out where exactly to plug in that AC adapter. They're so big. PlayStation 1, I'm looking at it right off camera. PlayStation 1 nailed it. I think the other systems would eventually adhere to it. But some of these blocks are just ridiculous. The Sega CD and the Sega Genesis were some very heavy blocks. And they were huge, and getting them into, like, I could just remember how much I struggled with it. That's probably the only thing I struggled with. Other than getting confused that the little metal pieces that came with it were for the Model 1? Yeah, it was for the Model 1. In case you had a Model 1 Sega that you wanted to put with a Model 2 Sega CD, it had to have a certain clips that put underneath it. It was very crazy. And the same thing happened with the 32X with me. And this is why instruction reading is super important. And then I ended up figuring out I didn't need it and just slid it right in. I was like, whoa, wow, that's really cool. It kind of looks like a really weird science project if you think about it. Like the Sega CD and the Sega Genesis just connecting together is very weird, but it just looked like a super console, right? So I know I got it hooked up. I popped on the SureShock because I was like, full motion video FMV. It looked so cool. I played it. I died a number of times. I was like, what are you going to do? And I want to say, I'm pretty confident Sonic CD was my first game that I had gotten that wasn't included. I think that's what it was. I'm pretty sure it was Sonic CD, and eventually Rage in the Cage, Spider-Man, Terminator. I know others would follow: Jurassic Park, Rise of the Dragon. I don't know what order, but I know that I had Sonic CD, I had the Terminator, eventually the Spider-Man versus the Kingpin. I think that's what it is, right? Yeah, Spider-Man versus the Kingpin, Rage in the Cage. And I know I think it's the Star Wars game, the Rebel Assault. I think it was Rebel Assault. I don't know what other ones I had. Can't remember. But when I put in that Sonic CD, before we get into that, let me take you back to my experience with Sonic. Way back when. We're talking about when the Genesis Model 1 came out. I did not get that. I got the Genesis Model 1 much later in life. I got a Genesis Model 2, eventually the Sega CD, so on and so on. I had lived in a 4-apartment house. It was cut up into 4 apartments a long, long time ago. And I had a friend that was on the, I'm trying to think here, I think it would have been on the top left-hand side. Back in 1989, I want to say it was 89, it might have been 90, but I want to say it was 89. And I believe that he had gotten that, and then somewhere in the years to come, and I'm going to look at this because I don't want to be incorrect in what I'm talking about here. This is kind of important. So, I don't remember Streets of Rage 1, but I do remember Streets of Rage 2. 92. You know what? That makes a lot of sense. So my first interaction with Sonic, it might not have been in 89. I might be screwing up my years here. I think before I got a Sega, it had to have been, I think it had to have been either 91 or 92. Because my first interactions with a Sega, so somewhere between 89 and 91, 92. Because I do remember Streets of Rage 2. And I was just like, what the hell is that? It's awesome. My friend had it. 3-button controllers. Got the other one. I don't know. Maybe it came with it. I can't remember. But I think they had a Model 1 forever. And I think eventually they got the... I remember the Model 1 because it's such a unique thing. And I'm trying to remember where the hell I put mine. Oh, mine's right here. It's so unique looking compared to the Model 2. It just looks amazing. It looks like... I don't know. I think that it's just more appealing to me, but I'm so used to the Model 2. It's sleeker. It just weighs different. I don't know, whatever it is. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles the Model 1 has, but I remember playing Streets of Rage 2. And the sound and the graphics, and this was probably before, I think I would get the Sega after this, somewhere in between that time. I think it might have been 91, 92. It must have been 92. We're going to call it 92. I would eventually get the Sega. I do remember playing Sonic, because I think the one that they got was a pack-in for Sonic, and I believe that was 89, 90. Correct me if I'm wrong. Again, this is just me thinking out loud. I was like, wow, this is really cool. And then accidentally stumbling upon, if you got a certain amount of coins, because I was very objective based in it, so I didn't want to go super fast and do all this crazy stuff. I needed to get all the coins. I wanted to hear that awesome little chime to tell me that I got a free life or whatever. And then I'd go really fast or whatever. But accidentally, because I don't remember reading in any magazines, I was really young at the time. I would eventually see the special stage. And the sound, the look, the thinking that came with it. Again, remember, a very young person at the time. This is such an amazing game. When I would eventually get the Sega Model 2, I don't think Sonic was one that I had. I don't believe so. I don't think I actually owned any Sonic games other than Sonic CD and Knuckles. Sonic and Knuckles in late 94, 95. Eventually I would get, I think, Sonic 2 first. Then I would get Sonic the Hedgehog, the first one. And then much later would get 3. My love for Sonic just would grow over time. When I played Sonic CD, and I had to compare it to my few times that I played it, at my friend's house. Blown away. The soundtrack is amazing. You can go back and forth through time. I know that could be very different and divisive. The levels, they could be confusing as you get later on in the game. Very challenging game. But getting all the time stones, which, by the way, if you get 50 coins, at least, you will see the big, beautiful coin at the end of the rainbow. In you go, and the special stage you go to. I absolutely love the special stages in the first Sonic CD. I think 3 is very similar to Sonic and Knuckles. 2, they're okay. They just don't grab me the same way. 3, I think in 4, but Sonic and Knuckles, those special stages are so challenging that I would just play them over and over and over and over and over again for a certain period of time. That's how I got really good at certain games. Ninja Gaiden, sorry. And Super Ghouls and Ghosts, stuff like that. When I was younger, same thing, but just wanted to play games, had fun. Eventually, I would just play things until I got to be really good at it, because I loved it. A couple hours every day with that Super Ghouls and Ghosts, that's something that I remember. Did it for over a year, and did it really well. I do pretty well with it now, but I almost know all the placements, how certain things are going to be. It's almost like you remember the schematic. It's crazy, right? I mean, that's a completely different video we could talk about, but we're back to the Sega CD. The Sonic game absolutely blew my mind. I would always get to a certain point where I could get most of the stones. I'd miss a few, and then I would find out later on that you could get them in later levels. It's just increasingly difficult to get those amount of coins and be able to get those levels. But I don't remember how many stones there are exactly. I want to say there's maybe 6 to 8. I'm not sure. I think there's 6. Usually around like 5 is when you become difficult. The third stone is pretty difficult. It's the underwater. I was just doing a TikTok thing where I was just showing off doing the levels, and the third one's usually pretty challenging for me. I nailed it in 30 seconds. Like, pretty good stuff. I mean, maybe I'd share this here. I don't know if how that would look, but maybe I'll just do that just to kind of show you something.
I might have just gotten my first 1,000 like comments. I'll flip you.
Other than just us having a conversation and a cup of coffee. But that Sonic CD, ladies and gentlemen, it blew me away. Those special levels were turned up 150 times compared to the ones I remember in the original Sonic game. Beautiful and amazing. When I would eventually like hang out with friends or whatever after I had this running and going, the look on their faces when you'd hear that you had the Sega CD was, get the Sega CD. Some people knew what it was, some people had no idea, but when they all played it, they absolutely loved it. A really good friend of mine would eventually get a Sega CD. We would borrow games back and forth, or I'd let them borrow them or whatever, because I had a good amount of them at that point. A blast, just a blast. And that would eventually lead into phone calls in late 95, early 96 with, 95, probably 96, NWO, WCW, phone calls with that friend of mine. And every Monday we'd be on the phone. I didn't have cell phones back then, at least I didn't. He didn't either. Beepers. And the beepers were kind of gone at that point, and then cell phones were just starting to kind of come out. But stages. I think my first actual cell phone, if I remember, was Nokia. I'm trying to say if I have it here, just to show you it, but I see my BlackBerry. I had a BlackBerry. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. But anyway, falling way off track here. Great time. Absolutely love the 90s. Absolutely love the 80s. 2000's pretty good. But there's something special about that Sega CD. There's something special about that system. Was it the fact that many people didn't have it? Almost like a flex thing? I don't think so. I don't think I was into that. Could have been. I'm not really sure if I could put my finger on it. Eventually, as years would go on, I would get more and more games for the Sega CD. I think at one point I saw a few games that are very heavy hitters and just was like, no interest. I really wish I gave them a try. A little less on the wallet these days. I can't remember which ones, but I know I've seen them all. I've seen them all right in front of me. I remember Keo Flying Squadron in the Funko Land. Oh, if I could go back and grab that, because it's so expensive now. Snatcher. Bunch of different games. I got a good amount of them. Popful Mail was an amazing game. As I sit back here and I think about that time of having that Sega CD and just getting completely blown away, one of the other parts of the Sega CD that really hold dear to me was the fact that it was, I want to say it was one of the last things I got in a big setting like that, with a big birthday party. I was getting older. Things were changing with me, obviously, as you grow up. There's a lot of different ways you can interpret that, but the environment was changing, progressing through school, going to middle school. I'm pretty sure that was one of the last times that I had a very big get-together for my birthday. There might have been one or two after, but that's the one that sticks out to me because of Sega CD. And, eventually I get the 64. The PlayStation 2 was actually... Or was it the PlayStation? It was one of those where that was the first one I actually got by trading stuff in. Because I really wanted it, and I kind of wish I didn't. But that's neither here nor there. You learn, you live, and you learn. One of those systems was the one, I actually got with my own money, or I got birthday money, whatever it would have been. And then eventually, to get the PlayStation 2, I would sell the PlayStation, Xbox, and a few other things. I don't know how I remember that, but I do remember it, and I hunted that PlayStation for so long. I'm looking at it now, I remember it, but it's not the one I had, because eventually I'd sell that to get the, other games, or maybe the PS3, or whatever it was at the time, I can't remember. But that's Sega CD. And it's the one that's right behind me, too. I'll just move out of the way a little bit. Hopefully I can show you a little closer up to it. This is the actual Sega CD that I have had in my collection since January 13th, 1994. It wasn't a collection at that point. It was just something to have fun with. I didn't have any ambitions. I think that's right around the time that my ambitions started to change. With maybe the Sega CD might have been the last thing that I didn't open. I did open. I mean, I opened video games. I wasn't like that, but I think that's around the time I've shared this before with the action figures. That all this kind of molds into that time where I saw the maid-eating cow. It was a lot of money at the time, and unfortunately, the figures aren't worth that much these days. It's just kind of what happens. It's kind of like the stock market, but the tick figures aren't super valuable, super rare, but they're awesome. I have a bunch of them. I wanted to go for a complete set. Never did, but I got the man-eating cow. My first venture into complete in box action figure collecting, and ever since then it just kind of resonated with me. Very rarely do I open anything up. Video games, I'll open it up all day long, unless there's a reason for it. But going back to the Sega CD, because that's why we're here. The Sega CD. I want to say it was later in 1994. Where I would find a game that blew my mind away. I believe it was the first game, no, it was the second game, that I noticed a difference on the box. And I will show it to you right now from others. I mean, eventually all the games would have this. You know what this is, and you know my love for this game. Now, what was different about this one than the red box is that right there. It was the ESRB, I believe, rating system. That was created because of Mortal Kombat and Night Trap and a few others, but that was the main thing. I think Lethal Enforcers might have been slightly in there. This was created, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I got the red box first. And then something happened, or maybe I got the red box after because I absolutely fell in love with Night Trap. Big push on the Sega CD was FMV. And that's definitely one that sticks out. I mean, there's plenty of them on there. We could go on and on and on about it. But Night Trap, for me, really hit me. And I think on this, if I'm not mistaken, because I got to take a look. Might as well, right? And I still have it. I still have the tips and tricks. A few little cheats and stuff like that in here. I still have the original version of Night Trap. I don't have the box. It is gone and everything. I think that's the only version that actually works. This one is the one with the 94 release. This one skips. I think it's disc 2 if I'm not mistaken. I still have the manual for the original Night Trap. I don't have the box. The box got ruined or something like that. And then I think I still have, I still have the manual for Night Trap. Now, all this is important. Completing box, whatever, collector's nonsense. This one right here is a huge part of my childhood. Now, when I tell you eventually, I just look at this and top secret, my eyes only, Jason D. This thing is from 1994. It's still standing, surprisingly. I would stay up and play Night Trap. Night Trap took me over. Night Trap took me over for probably about a year. I stopped playing everything else. Mostly. Maybe a little bit in between. Maybe some Mario Brothers. I love Super Mario Brothers 3. I love the Streets of Rage. I would play that a lot with my mom. Gauntlet 2. Chippendales. Whenever we'd rent it from the video store. It's not one I owned as a kid. My mom liked the Game Boy. Tetris. This one right here is my writing. And now it is 30 years later. 31 years later. This is my writing from way back when. I would do my homework. And I believe when I was doing this, I was in 4th grade, I want to say. And I would play this game so much. And I don't know why. Maybe it was the FMV, and I know now, looking at it, it's not the best looking thing. The re-release from Limited Run. Wow. Amazing. The only thing that I don't like about that is that I'm so used to the weird janky things that happen during the game that I know exactly when to push something, whereas it's such a fluent game and it doesn't have any of that jankiness. I don't know else to explain it. Maybe like a glitch. Maybe it's because the CD was loading. I don't know, but I love the remake. I love that it included deleted footage from what could have been. Remastered it looks amazing. If you have any appreciation for Night Trap, seeing both is an experience. Is it the best game in the world? These FMVs are up for interpretation. I loved it. And that's why I have this today. And what I did was, because I could have gotten a strategy guide. I don't think there was a strategy guide with Night Trap. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe there was. There may have been some articles about it or something in some of these game magazines. The tip and tricks thing. There's some secrets you can find out with that. Some Easter eggs and some behind the scenes and stuff like that. I would write down every time an augur would show up. An augur is one of the little vampire guys that running around that you had to trap. So the whole point of Night Trap is a group of people that are harvesting humans for blood. I don't know if I all articulated that when I played this. Really weird game. The costumes, maybe not the best. The soundtrack was amazing. That song, and you know what song it is. That was amazing. I've done a Night Trap collection video on here at some point, or just showed you a little bit of it or whatever, but I don't know if I ever showed this. So on these pages right here that are over 30 years old, I would notate. At first I started with a pen and I found out that was a little difficult, and my writing is absolutely atrocious. I should have been a doctor, but I don't have the degree or salary to prove that, but my signature is spot on. I've even been told by many doctors, you ever looking to being a doctor? I mean, just off of that, I find it funny because doctors are typically very intellectual people, and they do great things for, taking care of people, helping them get better and whatnot, giving them advice. But this just takes me back, man. I just look at this, and then I even put down, I think I have it all the way to the end. I've never been able to catch every auger. I'm pretty sure it's possible. I've looked up some things online, YouTube, where it is possible. But, wow. Like, just looking at this goes all the way to the end. So I wrote down, and I did it multiple times. I see so many erase marks of where we could have been. Like, I tried to use this when I first got the limited run edition of Night Trap to see if it would work. It was close, but again, those few seconds of technology gaps are everything, because you can't time this exactly. It's close, but it's just like when you have the jump from a CRT with a retro system to an HDMI, whether it was a plasma or there's an LED, OLED. I don't know, there's too much shit going on in this world today when it comes to electronics, even too much for me. But there's a significant difference in when you press a button. It's called latency. It's when it shows up on the screen. 100%. The little TVs, I have one right down here. I don't see it as much, but there's enough. Ninja Gaiden is the one that has that obvious latency. Everything does, but that's the one that sticks out to me the most. Same thing happened with when I was playing this game, and I've got to give it another try. I had so much fun with it. The Sega CD version is just my all-time favorite, but I even put in the access changes. Ooh, I got hidden footage and a memory of, like, there's so much stuff on here. And there's nothing else on here. There's nothing else. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4 pages that I filled in this, but it is something I hold to my heart and hold dearly. I can't believe that this still exists 31 years later. It's crazy to me. The Sega CD, for me, is my favorite system to collect for. Yes, I enjoy collecting all different games on all different systems. Brings back memories. A lot of the complete in box NES games I have are memories from a different time, or maybe a collection I wanted. Some of them, like Gauntlet 2, Hydlide, a few others, Chippendales, Rescue Rangers, the first one. Second one, card only. Very expensive game. There's a third one too, by the way. I don't think it was officially released, but again, that's neither here nor there. I really wish I had that box for the Sega CD. Night Trap was an amazing experience. The whole other games I can get into, Batman Returns, the driving stages were amazing. The Terminator, I've done a full video on me playing it and seeing if we could get to the end, and eventually I would. Eventually I would, and I did get to the end. And I would have beaten it after over 20 years of trying. Just one of those games where you get so far and you get to that last stage and whew, man, FMV in that is something to be desired. But I love it. It's great. It just brings me back. The Sega CD for me was almost like a crossroad as I continued on with my education through my journey. 4th grade when I got it, 1994. After that, things changed. Not necessarily for good or bad, but a lot of things changed. It would be, let me think here, it would probably be 5 years later where a very significant change changed to history. Lots of things happened in 99. I won't really talk about it, but you kind of think about what's gone on in 1999 and so on and so on. 2001, it's September 10th when I make this video. And I'm thinking about this now, and I really shouldn't do this because it'll get me extremely emotional. It's not the emotion I want, but tomorrow's my mom's birthday. And she passed away about 5 years ago. I think it is probably the hardest day for me. I don't want to get into a big conversation with it. I did a video on it. I don't like to really jump into things that are personal. Like, with, like my family and stuff, but thinking about the Sega CD, my mom thinking it was absolutely bonkers. She saw Night Trap. She didn't have any idea of what the hell I was doing or why the hell it was on the TV. A lot of arguing about it. The Gauntlet 2s. She liked Kirby's Pinball. She liked Ghostbusters too. Just a different time. The Sega CD for me is just a different time. Like all these systems are, I get instant gratification when I look at my Sega CD collection. That box that I would get much later in life, because I didn't keep it, brings me back to that moment in time where life was just different. Not better, not worse. It's just different. I really wish that I had the opportunity to get my grandmother to play the Sega CD. She wasn't into games at all. She might have tried Mario just to appease me because I kept flustering her with it, but I would eventually get my grandmother, unfortunately passed away a year after my mom, to play a game. Don't like getting like this. She would eventually play a game, and it wasn't a game on a system. It was the Turtles arcade that I got from Arcade 1-Up. And that just brings me back. Whew. A lot of emotion there. And I'm not trying to make this about this, and I don't know why I'm getting into that, but what can you do? Sega CD is just a nostalgic thing for me. For my personal life, it just brings me back to a moment in time where, right before, things just ultimately changed. Not necessarily in a good way, a bad way, a positive way, a negative way, but just got older. Had so much more to experience. But all the people who used to come over, my house, my friends, some kids in the neighborhood, fire up the old Sega CD. I used to play games in the same room as other people. I know it's a crazy thought now with things that I'm doing here and everything else, but it's just something fierce, man. Something beautiful. The Sega CD will forever have a big place in my life. Brings back great memories. And it's just a different time. But, to be more specific, it is a great selection of games. There's games for pretty much everybody. RPGs, FMVs, the big one for the Sega CD. Action adventure, platformers, strategy games. There's one that I got that I do want to spend a lot more time with, and I haven't, and I can't seem to find it. I wish I could remember, because it's such a janky game. I don't know exactly where I put it. If I remember, I'll show it to you, but I think it's Maniac Mansion. No, was that a Nintendo? I can't remember. I remember the game as a butterfly on the cover of it. It's so unique, and it's not like anything else I've ever played before, and it's similar to another game. When I think of that, I think of D on the PlayStation. I think I rented D, and it was just... It's another game I gotta get, because it's one of those weird, janky games that... it's just rough. I can't even explain it, but there's so many great games. Many great games I would get later on in life that, are amazing. I'll give you a few of them off the top. Snatcher, of course, is top for me. Lords of Thunder, Road Rash. There's also a game, Android Assault is another first-person shooter. The shoot-em-ups. Not first-person shooters. That's my fault. The shoot-em-ups are amazing. Lords of Thunder is a shoot-em-up. Android Assault is Slipfeed. There's so many good shoot-em-ups on this system. If you like that, if you've never played one before, I highly suggest you checking it out. Road Rash. definitive version of Road Rash, in my opinion. Road Rash for the PlayStation was really cool. Road Rash for the Sega. I think the one that I got into for Sega was Road Rash 3. That's the one that really took me. I think I tried the second one, and then the third one I was awesome. I always rented it all the time, but eventually would find it complete in box much later in life. But Wild Woody is another one that's a really odd game. I'm going to show it to you because this is one I found later in life. It's a much later release for the Sega. It's it's just a platformer, but the FMV in it is hilarious, and the fact that this is a KA, so kids to adults. I don't know. Sometimes some things in it are just interesting. It's one of those very unique games that I got much later in life, and I wish I didn't. Mickey Mania, The Lunars, Popful Mail, Terminator, The Rage in the Cage was amazing. Even the FMV looks really good in that. Space Ace I would get later. Mad Dog McCree. Now we got the second one. Who Shot Johnny Rock? I think that one has Rod on it. I'm not sure. I know that I'm pretty confident my Crime Patrol does as well. Again, those are FMV, full FMV videos that you kind of just interact with the screen or whatever. And just like Night Trap. And then Stellar Fire was a pretty good game. Awesome version of NBA Jam, although it didn't have Bill Clinton as a secret character, and it was just funny. I think, was it Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton? Or was it just Bill Clinton and Al Gore? I can't remember, but like to have a president in a game is just crazy to me. And I remember reading some book, whether it's Tips and Tricks or EGM or whatever the hell I found it on, and I'm going off on topic here, but I just think it's funny to think about those. But those aren't available in the Sega CD version. The Mortal Kombat, you could get the blood code just like with the Sega, the regular Genesis. But there was FMV, very little FMV in that. The soundtrack just sounded amazing. It's very close to the arcade, but not exact because the arcade and consoles are just very different. It just is what it is. Unless it's now, where if you got like a compilation or whatever on the PlayStation or Xbox or the Switch 2, I don't know what it is. And you'd be able to get it, you could get it pretty close to that, or even the PlayStation 2 era. I think there's a bunch of those compilations where you had arcade ports, and they're amazing. Just like how you remember it. Slight differences. NHL 94, I hunted that down later in life. I love Blades of Steel on the NES. NHL 94 was awesome. Not really a huge sports game. I'm awful at Madden. A gamer, I should say. I'm awful at Madden. There's some cool sports games I feel pretty good about. NHL 94 is one of them, for sure. And I think that should be about it that I can really think of. The Jurassic Park, The Rise of the Dragon. Amazing games. There's such a wide variety of selection on there with the system. I don't know if anything else really has that today. Super Nintendo obviously had that as well. The NES did. But just something was different with the Sega CD. Yep. As I look at it now and look at all the different games, and some of them I've had forever, the Sonic CD is the one I'll always hold dearest because that was part of my gift, I believe. And then the Terminator and the Spider-Man versus Kingpin. And then just for shits and giggles, I don't have many 32X games. I really want the Spider-Man one, and not because it's super expensive. It's not really my forte. I love Spider-Man games. Spider-Man's awesome. I have a Night Trap. One of the only Sega CD 32X games that released. I did try it, and the graphics are definitely improved. Not to the extent of the re-release from... not with the extent of the re-release with Limited Run. But it took me so many years to be able to do this because I finally got a working 32X, but it has the Model 1 cables instead of the Model 2. I think I figured it out, but there's all kinds of crazy stuff in it. It looks like the exact same game as before. A little bit different, and obviously you can't play this without a 32X. But I even have all the little cards and everything in here. Like I didn't normally keep these, but It's always great to find that the card there, the warranty card. That's always a pretty big thing, a complete in box or whatever to some folks. And then of course, you know, things like this, just great. This thing is in pristine condition though, because I really didn't use it much because I couldn't get my 32X to work for 20 years. And eventually we'll get rid of it, but you know, that's all I got to say. I don't think there's much more I could say. I hope that your interpretation of why I love the Sega CD came out in a positive way. I hope that you can understand why I feel so strongly about the system. And if there's a system I want to collect, complete in box, everything, I think the Sega CD will be the one to go for. I know there's some very heavy hitters out there. But I would like to get all the boxes, consoles complete in box. That is an undertaking of itself. Finding a Model 1 under $1,000 is very difficult. I think I saw one, but it wasn't the best box. Listen, this box wasn't the best either, but you know, it is what it is. What are you going to do? I'd like to eventually say I own the entire North American Sega CD collection. Boxes and all, consoles, all weird things. I think eventually I'm going to go for that. But we'll see what happens. What are you going to do? You never know what tomorrow brings. But that's my feelings on the Sega CD. Hopefully I was able to include some video on there other than just me yapping about for about an hour or whatever it's been now, because you know my videos have to be super long. That's how we do it here. And yeah, that's all I got to say. That's all I got. I got nothing else for you. So in the comment section down below, as always, let me know what your thoughts are on the topic of Sega CD. What are your feelings? Do you own one? Did you want to get into collecting? If you do, good luck. It's a really expensive system to collect for. Just like a lot of the retro systems are. It's just the way it is. It's, I'm pretty sure it's vintage, right? It's not retro anymore. I think the Sega CD is vintage now. Somebody's going to have to check on that. I've never gotten a reply back on that question. And I could look it up, but I think it's more fun to interact with folks and try to get either their opinions on it or actual facts. You know, proven facts, right? Let me know what you thought. What did you think of this video? Different, off the cuff. Just wanted to talk about an system that means a lot to me and just kind of go off the cuff with it, you know? That's how I felt. It was an off the cuff kind of video where we rolled way off the train tracks, and I don't know how much of it I'll keep in there. We'll see. I like to keep most of my stuff in there. There's a reason why. There's always a reason why I say something. But let me know what your thoughts are, as always, and thank you very much to the awesome, amazing support of 302. I haven't done a video in over a month, and we finally hit 300, I think, which is amazing. It's awesome. Thank you very much. 302 awesome, amazing folks. Come back to the House of Fun and Video Games YouTube channel. Every time a video comes out, comments, likes, shares. If you haven't already and you like what you see, subscribe. Be 303. Be 304. Be 310. I don't know. Or just be 300, because sometimes we seesaw. Just the way it is. Subscribers are count is very important to me, but it's not at the same time. I'm very unique when it comes to this. This is a passion. This is a pay it forward. If this was a financial thing for me, I would probably feel a lot differently. I see many people on this platform that do very, very, very well for themselves. As far as the eye can see, because in my opinion, you don't ever ask somebody how much they make or any kind of crazy stuff like that. It's just me. Doesn't mean you can't. Don't mad at me. But for me, I can kind of tell by videos that a lot of people have with a lot of high subscribers that have been on YouTube forever and do really well for themselves, and that's awesome. YouTube for me, and I'll say this from the first video until the last one I send, if I was to ever get into that, that would be great, it'd be fantastic, it'd be awesome, fun. But for me, it's a pay it forward. It's a time capsule piece. When I am no longer here, this is a way, if the platform still exists, and my hard drives, if that doesn't exist, don't disappear or break down like everything does, everything ends. Away from my family, my friends. More importantly, the most important to me is my kids. Being able to see me and know I'm still here. And they could still hear my words of wisdom, or my funny moments, or my weird moments, or how many times have I fallen off the train until the tracks just aren't there anymore and I just go on rambling for thousands of videos on hold. Whatever. What are you going to say? What are you going to do? But I do appreciate the 302 awesome, amazing folks who have said hello, gave me the subscription, watch my videos, comment, get into great conversations. That brings us to another point that I'll make after this point. There's not just talking about this, that, or the other thing. There's not our personal things on here. There are other things. There are Thrift Time and Finds. We did Thrift Time and Finds 51. Actually got a lot of great footage going out into the world of thrifting. I love it. The thrift is such an awesome place. Seeing all the weird stuff that's out there. Not just game and entertainment. Just other stuff that is so odd. Like, I've found so many strange things on the thrift. It's a great time. And we've had a lot of success with that. A lot of people do like the series. eBay Time and Buys. Buy stuff off eBay, show it to you. Don't do it very much. Don't really need to. But I'm sure at some point in time we'll bring something back to that. Although the other one that I do like to talk about more than that is eBay Time and Buys Revisited, where we go ahead and go back to an eBay Time and Buys purchase. See if your boy here got duped. Been a few times that I have. It's been a few times that it was great. Nothing wrong with it. It worked. Awesome. Amazing. It's just an interesting type of video. Kind of deep dive into something I bought from eBay over the years. Let's play some video games. I don't think I have to introduce you to that. We put on some video games and we cut out the talking. Now, there's always talking with me. But we have some fun. I plan on bringing many more of those. I do the game captures card one. I do one that I mainly done with just kind of focusing on the camera on the TV. Time and everything else is not always on my side, so that may be an easier way to do it. I just did it recently, and hopefully I'll be able to include that in this video. I'm putting it on my TikTok, me playing some rounds of Sonic CD, and I think it'd be appropriate for this video. I think it would be. I hate how it's the vertical, so it's almost like the widescreen, but it's really long. Like widescreen is like mailbox. Like, open one of those things. I'm trying to articulate it for you, but, like where you put the mail through. That's widescreen, that's letterbox. I don't know what it's called for the camera, at least in this kind of scenario, conversation, or whatever, but even if you turn it this way, it just looks so weird. I know it's the way TikTok is, but nevertheless, it's fun. I still have fun with it. It's just much easier to come up like that, and putting it like this just doesn't make sense, so... Or on YouTube, if I put this like this, I don't like it. When I put it like how it is now, it makes sense to me. But we play some video games, we have some fun, get into some great conversations. Movie reviews, I've done one of them. Did it on Friday the 13th. So I plan on delving more into that. It's a huge part of what I collect for. Absolutely. Do I know the timing of it? I could do Friday the 13th Part 2 in 2 years from now. Or I could just jump into, I don't know, Walking Dead. Shield, Sopranos, like there's so many different avenues that we could go down. There's so many rabbit holes, which is kind of funny I mentioned that, because down the rabbit hole we go is another series where we take a look at one part of my collection in deep, detailed dive. And I give you my reasonings or my loves or my memories of having all the stuff that I have. Good or bad, indifferent, good series, well received. And then I think that's it. I think that's all the videos I got. And then, if you want to take this conversation to a different level, you can reach us in a couple different places. Facebook, Adjacent House of Fun and Video Games. I want to see pictures of your game room, pictures of stuff you found in the thrift, pictures of stuff you found on the side of the road, maybe something that fell from the sky, and boop, there it is, the Nintendo World Championships. You either became a millionaire, or you can now hold that high an almighty cart, and I can't pull it off because I was gonna, to the high heavens, saying I have a Nintendo World Championship. Will that ever happen? Probably not. But on this platform, we can't share pictures. Conversations can only go through text, and that's fine if that's what you want. But we could do it even further by showing me things that you got in the wild, or maybe things that just interest you. A lot of great conversations happen on that Facebook page of mine. It's great. It's amazing. Absolutely love it. I'm also on X, It just sounds fun of video games. I don't do much on there. X for me is a place to get a good laugh. I like to post my videos on there. Very little traffic comes to it. It's fine. And it's just how I'll leave it. Just is what it is. TikTok, though, on the other hand. I'm at TikTok. Just sounds fun of video games. If you want to see a more condensed version of me and being as creative as I can and not like special effects and all this other crap, but just seeing things that interest me, seeing how certain things will look, and I don't know, transitions that are not done with transitions, just things that I think of. It's just a different side. At one point in time, before my basement got flooded in 2020, January 2020, and I remember it very, very vividly, along with the rest of the stuff that happened during that crazy year. Good, bad, indifferent, and heartbreaking. I remember right before my basement flooded that I did a video called 15 Minutes of Fame, I would later be told that all you had to do to avoid this was to upload the video to the computer. Don't put it on the hard drive, the portable hard drive, because I got a few of those. Don't put it on your phone. Take it from the computer, put it on the YouTube, and voila. I never would have had an issue with this. But I didn't realize that until after that video. And then I finally started doing that. But I just think about that time. I think about that video where I was so excited to be able to get more than 15 minutes to express what I'm trying to express. And then I fast forward many, many years later, because I just got a TikTok within the last year. Cynthia talked to the end of it. You can go thank her for it. I'm glad she did. I appreciate, because I don't put many things on there that are longer than 15 seconds. The pressure of that, and sometimes it's not, sometimes it's just finding something cool. A lot of the stuff is just me finding animals in the wild, and not like lions or tigers or anything like that, but just cool things. Like you got to look for it for yourself. But the 15 seconds, as opposed to maybe the hour I spent with you, maybe a little longer, maybe a little less, I don't know, I haven't looked at it. I just have a much more appreciation for it, because I can express myself and have fun in a longer format, and then I could do it in a shorter format, and just sometimes things just kind of click together. Like you see something, you're like, yes, I know exactly where this goes. And the good thing about TikTok is you can actually use music, and for whatever reason, it doesn't do anything. There's no the obvious things that happen here. Now, I don't know how that goes for as far as like when you're in the monetary game for TikTok. I don't understand how any of that goes. Never looked into it. It's not really something that's super important to me. Just like, monetization on here isn't, at this point in time, super important. It's just having fun, right? And giving you folks a moment to take a breather and, find something funny or go, wow, I'd like to collect that, or that guy is nuts. And it's okay. But I do appreciate it. And I do appreciate all the time that you've spent with me today. Hopefully it was value added. Hopefully it gave you something to kind of take your mind off of whatever is going on, or you're just going to go, that guy has got a real weird obsession with that Sega CD. I don't know. It's interpretation. It's important. Its opinions are important. Feel how you want to feel. That should be how it should be. Base things off of facts. Base things off of what's important to you. Live and learn. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Now, the philosopher has done speaking. And that's all I got. I don't know what I have. That's a rap. That's a riggedy rap. What am I going to do now? I don't know. I've been playing a lot of Boogerman lately. Yeah, it's a great game. Sega. Playing a lot of Sega lately. Streets of Rage 3. Absolutely love it. Maybe it's time to take a step back in the past. Maybe I need to finally go after a game and beat it I haven't beaten ever. Gotten to that last level. And try again. And the box is absolutely dog shit. It wasn't mine. Bought it secondhand long time ago. maybe it's time that we go after Final Fight. And maybe in the next video I might give you a little taste of Final Fight. This is the only game where you have the opportunity that I remember other than the arcade to pick 3 different characters. Box doesn't look too good. Gameplay's great. I think it's time to put it on and give her a go. We're not going down any rabbit holes. We're not trying to play any tricks or foolery. But maybe it's time to see if I have what it takes to beat Final Fight for the Sega CD. And hopefully when I do this, the box doesn't fall apart. Take care, folks. If you want to know anything, you've gotten all the links down below. We had fun. That is it. End of video. Thank you for spending time with me. Let me know what your thoughts are as always. Off to Sega CD Land we go for some Final Fight. Can we beat it? Stay tuned. Until next time.